and welcome to Short Stuff. I'm Josh, and there's Chuck. Chuck and Josh. Giddy up on Short Stuff.
That's right. This is another fun tale of a ghost ship. Ghost ships are just a lot of fun to talk about, and this is the tale of a ghost ship that may or may not even exist.
It's a big one.
But one thing is for sure is that this story has influenced a lot of pop culture, I feel like.
Yeah, at the very least, it showed up as a video game in 2019, a horror game. I was watching a 4-hour YouTube video where this YouTuber just basically narrated, or I guess added commentary here or there to this 4-hour gameplay. Really something.
So you didn't just watch the trailer of the game. You watched actual
I did.
4 hours.
I did. I didn't watch the whole 4 hours. No, I skipped ahead, and it was cute.
Okay.
It was kind of fun, but yeah, I know I probably watched 5 minutes total of the whole thing, just skipping around, but it looks very scary. It looks like a really cool game. If I played games, I would definitely go get it. It's called The Man of Medan. And the reason it's called The Man of Medan is because that's the English translation from the Indonesian for the name of the ship, Ourang Medang. Ourang in Indonesian means man, which is why orangutans are called that. They're forest men, I think we've said before. So the name of the ship in English was Man of Medan, which is a city on Sumatra.
That's right. And it looks like a very scary game about people that get up on this ghost ship and have to contend with ghosts. So what happened with the SS Ourang Medang was that, well, here's the story. It depends on, there's some hinkiness that goes on with the dates, and we'll explain why in a minute. But either 1947 or 1948, or maybe even 1940, as we'll see, there was a Dutch freighter ship named the Ourang Medang that sent an SOS, picked up by some nearby ships, including the Silver Star, an American ship, in the Straits of Malacca, where all it said was this: "We float, all officers, including captain, dead, lying in chart room and on bridge, probably whole crew dead. I die."
That is a creepy message. The only way it could be creepier is if it said, "We all float down here."
Or, "I'm right behind you."
You're right. So this was like the SOS, the distress call, and that Silver Star, like you said, was close enough that it arrived to help the Ourang Medang. And when it arrived, you could basically just tell looking at it that it was a ghost ship. And Chuck, before we go into detail, I say that we take a break. What do you think?
Oh, an early break. Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it. Suspenseful early break.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So like you said, when they floated up to this thing, they could tell that something was awry. Mm-hmm. There was clearly no activity on the boat. There was no steam coming from the engines, no smoke. They said, does someone want to go check and see what's going on in that thing? And everyone said, not me, not it. And there was one guy that was eating some sea rations, looked up and went, what? So he went aboard, and what he found supposedly were people on deck, frozen in place with their fearful looks on their faces, their eyes wide open, their mouths stretched in like they were screaming, even a dog in mid-snarl, all frozen. Immediately, I thought of another pop culture thing this referenced. Did you see this year's True Detective, Night Country? I think so, right?
I tried to, and I couldn't make it past the first episode.
Oh, God, it was so good, dude.
I know, you said that, and I didn't see it.
Well, maybe you should have watched more than the first episode.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see the contours of it being great. I actually was like, I can't watch this.
In your mind's eye, you didn't see how it could have been good possibly after that?
No. And believe me, I know stuff. I can figure stuff out.
Well, did you see enough to see the influence here? for Night Country?
When
was that in episode 1?
Yeah, I think it was in episode 1 where they show up and it's a similar thing, sure.
Yeah. It's part The Thing, part Ourang Medang, I think for sure.
Yeah, well put. Oh, you want me to take over?
Ahead.
So I also saw...
Mr. TV critic.
I also saw that the people, all of the corpses were described as having their arms outstretched as if they were trying to fend off some unseen something.
Sure.
But there was no trace of anything on the ship that would have suggested what had happened to this crew and the dog. And they hooked up, I guess, a tow line from the Silver Star to the Ourang Medang, and they started to tow it. But before it could get anywhere, the thing caught fire and actually blew up. And so any trace of the Ourang Medang and its mystery sank to the bottom of the Straits of Malacca and became enshrined in sea shanties from that moment on.
That's right. But was this even a real ship at all?
No.
We're not going to take a break and find out. We're going to talk about it right now.
Yeah, I guess we should have done it like that, sure.
No, it's fine. It seems like this probably was completely fabricated. There's never been a shipping record of that vessel. No, living human ever came forward and said, hey, I was that person eating the sea rations that got shoved aboard this thing. Mm-hmm. There were also, depending on when the article came out, there were varying details that were different, which is always sort of a giveaway that it could be fabricated.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fact that there's different dates, different locations, that kind of stuff, it's at the very least the thing's been embellished as we understand it today. And there was a researcher named Estelle Hargraves who found the first mention of this story all the way back in 1940, a good 7 or 8 years before the story supposedly took place.
Yeah.
This was during World War II, and it was a British merchant ship, not an American ship, that came to help out. But the thing that does, bear a resemblance to the following stories was that there was the ship exploded and there was no trace of anything or any evidence that could have explained what happened.
Yeah, this one was kind of fun because I was on Reddit looking at some theories and stuff just for fun. Mm-hmm. And someone said, hey, I think I've figured this thing out. Everybody knows this is probably a hoax, but I think I've actually got the paper trail and figured out who this was. And I was like, oh, interesting. And I started to read it. It was Estelle Hargraves on Reddit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was that researcher. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
So what'd she say? What's the explanation?
Well, it's the same explanation that we have here, which is it's laid at the feet of one single person, not just a bunch of people that kind of made up this lore. It was actually, at least Estelle has put it out, that it's a reporter named Silvio Shirley, Sherli, mm-hmm. and wrote this thing in 1940 and then wrote about it again in 1948 as supposedly the first time that it had happened, which is, and it was the same name, so it had to be the same person.
Okay, so I guess he's the culprit, right?
Well, it seems like it.
Well, okay, so there were some other parts to this story that Shirley added. There was a 1948 Dutch-Indonesian newspaper called Der Lokomotief. And this was the one where we get the story as we kind of recognize it today. But one of the extra things that gets left off these days is that there was one survivor from the Ourang Medang who washed up on the shore of one of the Marshall Islands, was found by a missionary and told the story of that the ship was actually carrying illicit cargo. That's why no one can ever find any record of the ship. It's because they didn't want to be found. And that the cargo, sulfuric acid or nitroglycerin or something, either off-gassed and killed the crew or blew the ship up or both.
That's right. And this missionary supposedly told this story to that writer, Silvio Shirley. Uh-huh. It's interesting that this article says no one can be sure that it was Shirley who made the 1940 report, but I think this is old because online, this Estelle Hargraves posted screenshots of the actual 1940 articles with his name. Yeah,
but everybody knows she's always headed out for Silvio Shirley, so can that be trusted in this day and age of deep fakes and AI and stuff?
Yeah, that's a good point. But it seems like it didn't even exist at all, and it maybe was this like writer writing about it a couple of times and embellishing it even more the second time to see if it gets more steam. I don't know.
Yeah. Full steam ahead. So do you want to hear a little interesting tidbit, a little appendum? By the way,
Sure.
No one knows if this is true, but it's almost certainly not. And if it is, it has taken on some shapes where you can barely recognize the actuality of it or pick it out. But we based this off of a How Stuff Works article on it, correct?
Correct.
Among
other things.
You're right. I went and read an additional article on All Things Interesting, including some others. But in the All Things Interesting article, it referenced the How Stuff Works article that this was based on. Ergo, the universe will collapse on itself soon.
Amazing.
Chuck said amazing. I'm not going to press my luck, so I'm just going to end this now. Short Stuff is out.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.